Tonight we're going to be looking at nutrition, the fuel of life. And I realize that my presentation tonight is very dense, so I'm going to try as much as possible to get through everything. Now, this is my dream car. It's beautiful, isn't it? And you would think that if I get a car like this, I would take care of it, right? I would give it the best fuel. I would make sure it has the best oil. I would make sure it's clean all over every time. But what if I give it regular oil? And what if I give it regular gasoline? Would that car last as long as I would like it to? Would it function the way that it should? No. Then, what about our bodies? Our bodies need premium fuel, am I right? Yes. Yet, more often than not, we do not give our bodies the right fuel. And this evening, I'm going to be sharing with you the fuel that is needed for life and how we can best utilize that fuel so that we are able to live long lives. Now, the fuel our body needs is nutrition. Nutrition is the process of providing or obtaining the food necessary for health and for growth. Now, there are two main components of nutrition. You have your macronutrients and your micronutrients. Your macronutrients are your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates, whereas your micronutrients are your vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and your phytochemicals. Now, macro means large. And what it means is that these are the nutrients that our body needs large amounts of. Okay? And each of these nutrients are made up of smaller components or building blocks. And as we go through the various nutrients, I'll let you know what those building blocks are. So let's take a look at protein. Protein is made up of amino acids. That's the smallest unit of a protein. The function of the protein is maintenance of bone, muscle, skin, and the immune system. Now, the amino acids that the protein is made up of, there are two main characteristics of your amino acids. They could be essential or non-essential. Your essential amino acids are what you get from the food you eat. Your non-essential amino acids are basically made by your body. Now, it is important to note, however, that majority of your amino acids are essential, which means you have to eat food in order to get the building blocks for the protein. Now, complete protein and incomplete protein. Complete protein refers to foods that contain all of the amino acids that are required for the body. And generally, you will get these amino acids from animal protein. So you're talking about meat, eggs, and dairy. But right at the bottom, we have a very special plant that gives us complete protein. And this plant is quinoa. Has anybody ever heard of quinoa before? Yes. Quinoa is a plant-based protein or plant-based grain, seed as a matter of fact. And it contains complete protein. Then you have your incomplete protein, and these are foods that do not contain all the essential amino acids. They have maybe one or two amino acids missing. Generally, you find these proteins in your plants. So you have your grains, your nuts, your beans, and your seeds. Next, we have carbohydrates. The building block of carbohydrates is sugar. And sugar is necessary for the body.
All right.
All right.
Didn't think I would say that, eh? Sugar is necessary for the body. That's where we get our energy from. But everything in moderation. And the amount that we use is what sometimes causes the problem. Now, our sugars are classified as monosaccharides, disaccharides, or polysaccharides. But let's take a little look at these. Your sugars are generally, another classification is good or bad, but it's dependent on what is referred to as the glycemic index. And this is simply how fast the carbohydrates are turned into blood, are absorbed into the bloodstream and spikes your blood sugar. Generally, simple sugars, and these are mainly your monosaccharides and your disaccharides, they tend to spike your blood sugar more than your complex carbohydrates. So your simple sugars spike your blood sugar more than your complex sugars. And this spike is largely dependent on the fiber content of the food as well. And I wanted to take note here that carbohydrates are not just your grains. A lot of people tend to feel that, your rice, when you have rice on your plate, you have your carbohydrates. But your carbohydrates can be found in almost anything that you eat. So fruits and vegetables also contain carbohydrates. Now, overconsumption of the wrong type of carbs can lead to type 2 diabetes. And we all know that type 2 diabetes is a disease that is related to the amount of blood sugar that is circulating in your body. Foods that are high in simple sugars, so your candies, your sodas, your jellies, your jams, your refined sugars, so the brown sugar and the white sugar, as well as your refined starches. So we're talking about white rice, talking about white bread, and white pasta. All of these contain simple sugars, and they actually help to spike your blood sugar when they're eaten. So what we're saying here is that the carbohydrates, that we should be taking in should be our complex carbohydrates. And just to give you some examples of the complex carbohydrates, we're talking mainly about sweet potato, for example, your yam and your dasheen, yes, your pumpkin. These are all good sources of complex carbohydrates. Then we have fat. Now, who would have thought that fat is good for you? Fat is very essential for the body. It helps with energy storage, but it also helps in the formation of hormones, and it also helps to provide that full feeling when we're eating, a sense of satiety. Your fats can be monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, saturated, or trans fats. And we'll take a look at these three. Now, your mono or polyunsaturated fats are considered your good fats. These are generally found from plant-based. So you get your olive oil, your peanut, your canola. These are all good, healthy fats. You could also get them from flax seeds, from sesame seeds, and also from fish. But more specifically, the type of fish that you would get a very high amount of healthy fats from are your silverfish. So we're talking about mackerel, jacks, yes, your gar and your ballyhoo, your tuna and your salmon. All of these are the silverfish, and they're very high in your good fats. Your bad fats come from animal sources or dairy, and these should be used in moderation. And then we come to the ugly, the trans fats. These are the fats that are derived from processing your oils under high temperature. Now, a lot of us, when we try to be healthy, we tend to use olive oil. But we don't use the olive oil raw. What we do is we pour the olive oil in a frying pan and we fry our eggs or whatever. Olive oil is a very low temperature oil, and it burns very easily.
That's right.
When that olive oil begins to burn, it actually converted into trans fats. And so you are actually causing more harm to yourself by cooking olive oil than by using it raw. So we need to really, really take note of that. And of course, those fried foods that we use, the fast food restaurants and so forth, that constant high heat that they have in the oil that they're cooking those fries and wedges and all of those lovely chicken that you like to buy from the KFC down the road. I say it's soft, nobody hear me. Right? So we have to be very, very careful about those because they are very high in trans fats. But just to take a look at what happens when we use trans fats. Cholesterol is a very important factor for our body. However, there are different types of cholesterol. You have your LDL and your HDL. LDL is considered the bad cholesterol. You do not want to have a lot of LDL cholesterol circulating in the body because this is the type that leads to atherosclerosis and other things that affect the blood vessels. Your HDL cholesterol is your good cholesterol. You want to make sure that you have enough of that in your body. But let's look at what these fats do to our cholesterol levels. Both your monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats actually lowers the bad cholesterol and raises the good cholesterol. So therefore, taking in those healthy plant-based fats, very good for you. Your saturated fats does something interesting. It raises both of them. But the fact that it raises the bad cholesterol is something that we need to take note of. So yes, the HDL is rising as well, but because the bad cholesterol is also increasing, we have to be very, very careful. And then your trans fats, the worst of all. It raises the LDL, but it lowers the HDL. So not only does it make the bad cholesterol go up, but it also now decreases the good cholesterol. So we have to be very careful with our trans fats. Then we go on to our micronutrients. These are nutrients that we need in a smaller quantity, and these are your vitamins and your trace minerals, your antioxidants, and your phytonutrients. Your phytonutrients are actually chemicals that you get from plant-based foods. Important to note, however, generally, when foods are processed, the micronutrients are usually stripped from the foods during the processing. And so what you end up happening, for example, let us take white bread. Nowadays, most of the ones that are important, when you read the labels on the plastic bag, they tell you that they are fortified with vitamins and minerals. And the reason why they have to fortify them, meaning that they're adding these things in, is because the processing actually stripped them from the bread in the first place. All right? So if we don't use them, then we don't have to worry about them trying to add anything back in. Right? Good. So then, what is healthy nutrition? Healthy nutrition is maximizing the good foods and minimizing the bad ones. Okay? Maximizing the good, minimizing the bad. So those foods that spike your sugar or promote inflammation in the body, you want to leave those alone. The foods that we want to be taking in are the foods that will stabilize your blood sugar, foods that will repair damage to the body, and also foods that will heal inflammation. And a lifetime of poor food choices can lead to diabetes, heart disease, obesity, cancer, and premature death. So let's look at some of the food categories. We have 5 main categories: your dairy, your vegetables and fruits, grains, and proteins. We're going to take a closer look at these. So your grains should be your foundation of your diet, and they should always be whole grains. Remember, we said we don't want to use anything that is refined. So no white flour, no white rice. We want to go for our brown rice, our multigrain breads. These are the ones that are better for us. They are rich in fiber, complex carbohydrates, and they have an array of vitamins and minerals that were not taken away from them. Then you have your dairy and protein. These are your animal sources, and they provide a lot of nutrients, very important nutrients. But one of the things that we need to take note is that your animal sources are the only place that you can get vitamin B12. Now, vitamin B12 is an important nutrient. It helps with making sure that our neurological or nervous system is working properly, and it also helps to prevent pernicious anemia. But even if you decide to eat just a plant-based diet, one of the things that any doctor should encourage you to do is supplement with B12, because it is a very important nutrient. Right. Your legumes such as beans, peas, and lentils are also good sources of proteins and very high in your minerals and vitamins. And then we have our vegetables and fruits. Now, one of the things we need to recognize about these two categories, do you see how colorful they are? Yes. They're pretty. Yes. And one of the reasons why they're so colorful is so that they can be attracted to eating them. Have you ever seen a butterfly or a bee go after a flower? Do they go after dull-looking flowers? No. So why do we want to go after dull-looking food? Huh? Think about it, right? So your fruits and your vegetables, they have these colors in order to entice us. They have very good flavors and textures, and they are rich in all of our minerals, vitamins, antioxidants, and phytochemicals. Now, many individuals prefer fruits over vegetables. I myself too. However, we have to remember that we need to get a balance, because no one food has all the nutrients that you need. And the foods in this group, generally the darker colored foods, are usually richer in antioxidants and phytochemicals. So your blueberries, your grapes, these are generally very high in antioxidants. Now, do you notice anything missing from all of what we were saying? We're talking about nutrients. What's missing? Who said it? Water. That's right. Water is a very important nutrient, but I spent a lot of time speaking about water before, so we won't really go into that now. All right? Good. So what kind of portions do we need? If we're talking about healthy nutrition, then we need to know exactly how much we should be eating. Am I right? Yeah. Good. So of your vegetables, we should be getting 7 to 10 servings of vegetables per day. Wow. How many of us that get 2? Notice I started very low. Maybe I should have said 1. Nobody wants to raise their hand. But that's good, because we don't want anybody to know we don't eat our vegetables. For fruits, we have 2 to 4 servings, and these are per day. So take note, these are per day, not per week, but per day. Your whole grains, 2 to 4. Your beans and legumes, 2 to 4. Your healthy oils should be anywhere between 3 to 5. And notice, your extra virgin, they should say olive oil, should be raw, not cooked. We just spoke about the trans fats. Yeah. And your coconut oil, because it has a higher heat threshold, you could use it for cooking. Meat and eggs, generally 1 to 2 servings. Fish, they suggest that you eat about 3 to 5 servings per week, because we know that our fish can be contaminated with poisonous chemicals like mercury. So we would want to use those in smaller portions. Dairy, anywhere between 0 to 2 servings per day. And of course your water, 7 to 10 glasses per day. But now that we know how much we should eat in a day, we need to know how to balance what we're eating. And so this is the healthy plate. Notice that half of your plate should be what? Fruits and vegetables. Then you have less than a quarter should be about proteins, and then your grains should make up the rest of the plate. Very important. But when we move on, you will see what the comparisons are. In terms of portions, to help with the portions, we suggest that one fist, is a serving of fruit, vegetable, milk, or grains. An open palm, so we're talking about the inside of the palm, not the entire hand, but the inside of the palm, is a serving of protein, and you could also use that as a serving for your beans, nuts, and seeds. The tip of your thumb is considered a serving of healthy oil. And then the entire thumb, no more than your thumb, would be a serving of cheese. So those are some suggestions as to how you can, manage your portions. Now, let's take a look at the standard Caribbean diet.
Don't go there.
Am I lying?
No.
Am I lying?
No.
I'm not lying. We have half the container rice and peas.
Yes.
Then we have, I can't even call that a quarter. This is more than a quarter because it's going over onto the rice of chicken.
Yeah.
And then somewhere underneath it, hiding behind it, is a little bit of vegetables. Am I lying? No, I am not. Let's take a look at another one, because some persons may say, well, I don't eat rice, so that don't pertain to me. Well, let's look at what is referred to as our national dish.
Nice.
A little bit of saltfish here. You have a nice bit of dumplings, some Christophine, some breadfruit, some sweet potato, some yam, some green fig, and 2 big Johnny cakes. You see anything wrong with this?
No.
Some people say no. You don't see anything wrong with this? That's a lot of starch. Mind you, I would agree with you that it is complex. It's the complex carbohydrates, but still we have to consider moderation, and we have to consider portions when we're speaking about this. And even with that, look at the dumpling and the 2 big Johnny cakes. Those are simple starches. So those will spike your blood sugar very quickly, okay? And you might not be able to see it very well, but all of this down here, pure grease. Pure grease, okay? Okay, how about this one though? Looks a little better, right? Yeah? Your fungi and well, we tell it tongue corn and fish, yes. But again, what we have here is a huge amount of what? Carbohydrates or starch. You have a huge amount of protein. Where's the vegetables? Okay, so you have your little peppers and some onions, and that's about it, right? All right. Okay, now if we are to consider a healthy diet, what I would like to introduce is two diets that I would consider to be very healthy diets. The first one is the Mediterranean diet. Okay? Now your Mediterranean diet is a heart-healthy eating plan based on typical foods and recipes from the Mediterranean style cooking. These include healthy carbohydrates like rice, oat, buckwheat, vegetables, and whole grains. It also has healthy proteins, including legumes, lean meats, and fish, and healthy fats from nuts and olive oil. It is generally richer in fiber, antioxidants, minerals, and vitamins that promote a safe and healthy lifestyle. But more important, I want us to look. Do you look at the portion sizes? Do we see what's going on here?
Yes.
Half the plate of, a little less than a quarter of protein, and then you have your grains. Perfect portion sizes. Do you see that?
Yes.
Let's look at the other one. Same thing. Half the plate, then you have your then you have your carbohydrates and your protein. And even this one, even though we don't have any meat, it still has the portion size for your beans. Can't really see them, but it's here. And then you have half your plate of vegetables, Here you have your wild rice and some potatoes. So you realize that the portion sizes are still there. And just to let you know, your grains don't only have to be rice. When you looked at this, I'm sure you thought that this was brown rice, right? This is actually bulgur wheat. And you can find bulgur wheat at Best Buy. Try and experiment with different types of grains, because these grains contain a lot of minerals and vitamins that are good and healthy for the body. Okay? Now the next diet or plan I would like to share with you is your plant-based or vegan diet. A healthy plant-based diet aims to maximize the consumption of nutrient-dense plant foods while minimizing processed foods, oils, and animal foods. It contains lots of vegetables, fruits, beans, peas, lentils, and nuts, and is generally very low in fat. And again, although we're speaking about a plant-based diet, do you realize that our portion sizes are still intact? Do you see that? Let's take this up here. You have your beans, half your vegetables, and then you have your grains right here. Again, your grains, your protein, half the plate of vegetables. This one, your protein, your grains, half the plate of vegetables, okay? So even with a plant-based diet, you see that the portion sizes are kept intact. But I want to share some research with you. A vegan or vegetarian diet is highly effective for weight loss. Vegetarian populations have lower rates of heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity. It says weight loss in vegetarians is not dependent mainly on exercise, but it can occur at a rate of approximately 1 pound per week. So vegetarians can actually, or persons who choose to go with the vegetarian lifestyle can actually lose weight simply by changing their diet. Okay? It says, in contrast to non-vegan diets, which may cause fewer calories to be burned because the food is stored as fat. And I'll share one more with you. In 1998, a collaborative analyst, using 5 studies, they reviewed 5 different studies, and this was reported in the public health, in a journal for public health nutrition. It compared heart disease specific death ratios for vegetarians and non-vegetarians. And what they found was that vegetarians had a 24% reduction in heart disease death compared to non-vegetarians. The low risk of ischemic heart disease may be related to the low cholesterol levels in individuals who consumed less meat. Very, very important. Okay. Studies have shown that a vegetarian diet is the least dangerous and most likely diet to promote longevity. There is now an overwhelming scientific and medical case for avoiding the consumption of meat and meat products despite the government's attempts to persuade us otherwise. And that's a quote from Dr. Richard Lacey. He's a microbiologist. And I just put this slide together because I wanted to show here. A lot of persons have difficulty with eating a simple salad. They figure the lettuce and cucumber and tomatoes, that's overdone. But you can make your salads in so many different ways. This right down here is a nice bean salad. I love making bean salad. But this will show you that you can have a variety of foods. Now, I just wanted to take 1 second to speak about superfoods. This is a term that has been used over and over for a lot of different types of foods, trying to encourage individuals to buy these foods because they're saying that they're very high in minerals and vitamins. But one thing you need to understand is there's no one food that has all the vitamins and minerals that we need. And it is important for us to get a balance, choosing foods from all of the food groups in order for us to have a balanced diet. Next, breakfast. Very, very important. As a matter of fact, there's a saying that says, breakfast like a king, lunch like a, prince, and supper like a pauper. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It breaks your overnight fast. It helps to refuel your energy stores. It kickstarts your metabolism. It also helps to stabilize your blood sugar, and it improves your memory and concentration. Children, the American Dietetic Association says children who eat breakfast perform better in the classroom and on the playground with better concentration, problem-solving skills, and eye-and-hand coordination. And the U.S. National Weight Control Conservatory says all of whom have lost at least 30 pounds. They were speaking about a study that involved individuals trying to lose weight. And what they're saying is that the persons who had breakfast were able to lose 30 pounds as compared to individuals who didn't have breakfast. Yes. Okay, and these are just some ideas or some suggestions for breakfast. And we're talking about making sure that we have our protein in our breakfast, very, very important. In order for us to get this protein in, especially in things like our oatmeal, we can simply add some nut butter to the oatmeal. So some almond butter or some peanut butter. You could add that to the protein and also to the oatmeal to help you to get your protein.
All right.
Okay, I'm trying to hurry, Sister Grace. I'm trying. Okay. Then I wanted to share with you, I'm coming to an end, 5 principles for food choices. You want to make sure that you get a variety. It's very important. Eating one specific type of food will ensure that you are not getting all of the minerals and vitamins that your body needs. You need to eat foods from across all of the food groups in order to ensure that you're getting everything you need. The quality of food as well should be taken into consideration. You want to be using foods that are very nutrient dense. Also, balance is important. It also helps to reduce obesity. Moderation. A lot of times, especially here in the Caribbean, we tend to overeat simply because we don't consider moderation. Fats and salts should be used in small quantities. Although our body needs it, we should not overdo it. And then we need to learn to avoid some foods. Not everything should be taken in. So your sweets, I know we have our sweet tooth sometimes, and ladies, we love our chocolate, yes? Oh, not you? Okay, very good, very good. But we need to learn how to avoid some foods, mainly alcohol, coffee, and sodas, your sugar-sweetened beverages, we spoke about those. These are things that we should put on our avoidance list, as well as foods that are highly processed or highly refined. So, final thoughts. A healthy diet can increase lifespan and the quality of life. Eating a balanced, plant-based diet is the key to healthy nutrition. But feeding the physical body, although that is important, we also need to feed our spiritual body. Amen?
Amen.
We can feast on God's word by contemplating his wonderful promises, reading inspirational stories and exhortations, and spending time daily in prayer. And I just want to leave this quote with you. Our bodies are built up from the food we eat.
Yes.
Those foods should be chosen. Those foods should be chosen that best supply the elements needed for building up the body. In this choice, appetite is not a safe guide. Through wrong habits of eating, the appetite can become perverted. Often it demands food that impairs health and causes weakness instead of strength. In order to know what are the best foods, we must study God's original plan for man's diet. He who created man and who understands his needs appointed Adam for his food. Behold, he said, I have given you every herb yielding seed and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for food. Amen. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 29.
Nice.
Excellent.